Hello there and welcome to another edition of Robot Wars Unveiled, and this time we're going to have a look at Extreme 2 New Blood Heat A. I hope you enjoy, that is quite a mouthful. This episode contains the only time house robots in fight, most likely because the fight itself was very boring. During the Heat final, Mute came the closest out of any front hinge flipper to securing an out of the arena unassisted. Firestorm utilised a rearing up system to help it flip robots out of the arena. In many ways, Extreme 2's New Blood serves as a sequel to the wildcard battles from Extreme 1, and is a televised semi-qualifier for Series 7, although many of the robots would still have to qualify for Series 7. Every first round battle in New Blood featured a Series 6 robot. Turtle is the only robot to compete in a separate event in Extreme 2. A robot called Knuckles, who perhaps is infamous for failing to qualify for the most seasons, was invited to appear in New Blood, but declined due to scheduling conflicts. This is the debut of Turtle, who had actually appeared in Techno games prior as Terry Turtle. Terra Turtle also fought Something and other competitors in the 6th World Qualifiers, where it came second in the fight after Something managed to immobilize Terra Turtle. Mute had attempted to qualify for Series 4, 5 and 6. In Series 4 it withdrew, in Series 5 it lost to the Stag and drew against General Carnage 2, while in Series 6 qualifiers its aerial fell off. Rhubarb is one of only 2 robots to face 3 front hinge flippers in 3 consecutive battles, Mute, Maximus and Mute once again in New Blood Heat. The other is the Morgue in Series 4. Knight Rider would try to qualify for Series 7 in the qualifiers, but once again failed to qualify. Both Knight Rider and Knight Raider have very similar names, and coincidentally both appeared in back-to-back episodes, and failed to leave their starting positions after losing drive on one side at the very beginning of the battles. Maximus was originally built for Series 5, but withdrew from the qualifiers. In the 6th Wars qualifiers, it faced Dan Tomkier, Iron Ore and Destructor Bubble, where it was flipped and trapped on the arena side wall by Dan Tomkier. Between failing to qualify for Series 6 and appearing in Extreme 2, the team considered using Maximus as part of the school play. Other names considered for Maximus included Gladiator, Matador, They Think It's All Over, It Is Now, Dave Blister, Maximus Destructus and Spark Atus. During the construction of Maximus, the team got technical advice from Brian Fountain and Shane Howard of Team Mace. And that is it for today. Extreme 2 New Blood Heat A. I like the idea of it, New Blood, I won't lie. I mentioned at the end of Heat B last episode, I don't really like Extreme 2 that much. I don't really like the New Blood as a whole. It's a real shame because I think the idea behind New Blood is good. I think the idea of having all these failed to qualify robots, all these robots never made it onto the screen, with the exception of a few, fighting for a chance to appear in the next series. I think that's great. I think, seeing a televised qualifier is great. And considering there was meant to be, cameras at the qualifiers that supposedly recorded the qualifiers themselves and have never seen the light of day, it's a very fascinating concept. But I won't lie, Extreme 2, I think the reason why I don't really like it that much is because a lot of the battles are very tedious. A lot of the robots aren't very interesting, and Heat A of New Blood is one such example. Hardly any of the robots are interesting. Like, barely any of them are interesting. You have maybe a few interesting robots here and there, Mr. Nasty, I guess. Rhubarb is pretty to look at. Maximus is interesting because of the backstory behind it. Like, for some reason, this robot has, a huge amount of information. Like, the website is still up as of speaking. And, they have, a detailed description of how their qualifier went. It's very, very interesting looking at the Maximus website. In fact, it was me that rediscovered it for the wiki. But, honestly, as a whole, Extreme 2 New Blood Heat A, it's just not very interesting. I think it's hard to talk about this episode, and I think the most infamous part of it is literally the house robot infighting. But let's be honest, they only really did that because the battle itself was boring. The robots were not interesting. Mute is one of those robots that I really detest. It's a robot that just wins by luck, let's be honest now. Now, obviously in this particular heat, it actually did fight pretty well. I'm not going to take that away from it, but, you'll see in Series 7 in particular, it's a robot that wins by luck. It's not a very good robot. It's not a very well-controlled robot, It doesn't win through actual effort, so to speak, and that really aggravates me as a fan of the show. And Mute is one of those robots that really piss me off. So I really don't have anything nice to say about Mute. Terra Turtle's first appearance, that's kind of fun. Obviously, it did appear in Techno games beforehand. Pterodactyl will continue appearing throughout the show, not to any great success, obviously, but who cares? But yeah, there's not really much to say about this. There's a reason why there was infighting in the second round, because it's kind of dull. I guess that's the best to describe it. And Extreme 2 as a whole is a very dull series. Very lifeless, surprisingly. Well, it's time for another randomly selected episode. Let's see what's next. So we're back with Extreme, except this is Extreme 1, Episode 2 to be precise. This is going to be very awkward with the Episode X, now Extreme 1, Episode 2, but who cares? I'll see you next time.